So, so as I was saying, today we'll be discussing how to make modeling paste at home. So modeling paste, I'm sure most of you know. You've been making small toppers for your cakes and other 2D cutouts and stuff like that. So modeling paste is a slightly stiffer consistency than your regular fondant. Now, fondant is stretchy, elastic, and you're able to roll it thin, and then you're able to cover your cakes. So the property needed for covering the cakes is covered by the fondant. Now, fondant can be changed into modeling paste. It can be used for making toppers and other small items that go on your cakes. Um, by very simple, easy steps. There are a couple of ways to use fondant and make it into a modeling paste. Of course, there are ready-made modeling pastes available in the market by different brands. They are also good to be used, especially when you're at home and you have very little, um, you know, um, resources, and you want to do something, or even if you don't want to spend too much and you want to have your modeling paste, you can go ahead and do it at home using a simple fondant. There are a couple of ways. So the first one is simply adding CMC or Tylose. So this is Tylose is a brand. There are other brands as well, or you can also use CMC available in the market, which is basically um, powder which makes your fondant stiffer. That means it absorbs all the water and it makes it less elastic and less. You all know fondant, and fondant is quite stretchy, and um, it is quite versatile, right? So this is the quality needed for covering the cakes, so you don't get cracks or tears or elephant skin or anything like that. Now, the same fondant we can convert into, say, our modeling paste by simply adding the Tylose. So I'll just, so I hope you can all see well. Yeah, so I've taken about a lemon-sized fondant. So all you do is you add a bit of Tylose to it. Now, how much of Tylose do we use? We take about half a teaspoon. That is all that is needed. So a lemon-sized piece of fondant and half a teaspoon of Tylose. So simply all that you need to do is take a little bit of shortening in your hands so that it doesn't stick to your hands, and you just knead in this Tylose into your fondant. So you must have heard the other day Ashwini speaking about the different kinds of paste that we use normally. And so this is just taking one basic paste, that is the fondant, and converting into modeling paste. Now this gives firmness, stiffness to your fondant so that it can withstand any kind of uh, modeling or molding. You can use it in molds. You can use it to create tiny figures, figurines, and also you can use it to uh, do 2D cutouts. So all these are possible with this modeling paste. Okay, now this is one way of doing it. So when you don't have too many things at home, and you just want to manage with basic ingredients that you have, and this is the best way to do it. Now the second way is to take gum paste. So gum paste, you know, we use it to make flowers, and it's quite firm, and it is not as stretchy as your fondant, and it is quite dry, right? So but this works great for making flowers. But when it comes to making figurines or small animals or any of the other things that you need to put as toppers on your cakes, so the gum paste as such may not work all the time. So there is a way to convert this, that is, we are adding the properties of gum paste, which gives stiffness to your figurines, and the property of fondant. So together we mix it and we get a modeling paste, so it dries up fast, it retains shape, and you're able to create all the kinds of toppers that you want to make. So how do we create this? We create it by taking approximately equal quantities, that is 50-50 of the gum paste and the fondant. So we just take equal sized balls and we mix them together, and your modeling paste is ready. Now, uh, with this modeling paste, you can use it straight away. With when you're adding tylose to your fondant, I would suggest resting it for about 5 to 10 minutes, allowing the powder, in case there are any places where the powder is not mixed in well. So it allows the powder to get absorbed, and you can give it one final knead before using it, and it's ready to go. So two ways of making the modeling paste. One is where you're using just the fondant along with a bit of tylose, and you mix it and you rest it for 5 to 10 minutes. You knead it again and it's ready to go. The second way is when you're taking equal quantities. So equal quantities of gum paste and fondant, you mix them together and it is ready to use right away. Now, this ratio you may want to differ according to the weather at your place. So if it is a dry weather, maybe you would, you could even use just 1/3 of the gum paste, and use 2/3 of fondant, mix it together, and you will have a firm enough um, modeling paste. So if the weather at your place is dry, but in coastal regions you may have very humid weather all through the year, there you might want to increase the proportion of gum paste and reduce the fondant a little bit. Try it in a few different ratios and see which one works best for your place. So this is the best way to create modeling paste without going into too much of hassle, without spending too much. Um, uh, so these are two ways. Now let's talk about coloring. Coloring of these can be done either with a pre-colored fondant. You can start off with a pre-colored fondant. Suppose you're buying ready colors like dark colors, red or black or anything, then you can start off with pre-colored fondant. Now, if you're adding color to your modeling paste, now what I suggest is when you're adding Tylos, don't add your gel color. Of course, you're going to use either gel or paste to color your modeling paste. Now, if you're going to use, say, gel colors or paste colors, don't add it along with the Tylos. Now, what happens is the Tylos tends to absorb the color and it will remain as patches all through. The tiny speckles of color will remain all through your paste. You will not get a homogeneous color. So best would be to add the Tylos first, or add the color first and then the Tylos. Either way, you will have a more homogeneous paste, homogeneous color all through your paste. If it is gum paste, then there is no issue. If you're doing, say, a mixture of gum paste and fondant, then also you can directly use the gel or paste color into your gum paste or fondant, and you directly mix it together, all three together. There won't be an issue there. But with Tylos, always remember, don't add the color with the Tylos. Either do it before kneading it or after kneading it with the Tylos. All right. Now, in extremely humid conditions, what you can also do is you will use, say, 50-50 fondant and gum paste to create your modeling paste. You can, add as an additional step, you can add a bit of Tylos as well to create a firmer, faster drying modeling paste. Now, when we are talking about humid weather, since we are now, it's all summer now, and the next season that we're heading out to is going to be humid, hot and humid weather. Now, when you want to dry your figurines, there are a few different ways of drying them. So once you make your figurines, you can put it in your oven with the light on overnight. So the gentle heat from the light absorbs the moisture from your figurines and it dries up well. You can, in extreme conditions, you can also switch it on, say 40 degrees or something. You can preheat it, and then you don't directly put it on your figurines onto the the oven, but put it in, line it with the parchment paper and put it in some tin or any other cardboard or something like that, so that the heat is directly not touching the surface of the figurines, but rather it's more of an ambient heat that you're getting for your figurines, so that it dries up, it absorbs all the moisture out, and it dries up your figurines inside the oven. That is another way. Now, one more way you can do, of course, I think there's a box also which is available, which helps in drying the figurines. You can create your own box at home with very little cost. So you can build your own heat box, so to speak, to dry your figurines. Now, how you do that is you take a cardboard box and you have to put a bulb inside. So maybe use an extension cord or something, and or a lamp. If you have a lamp, you can put a lamp and put the lamp inside the cardboard box, and use a very low voltage, low wattage of bulb, say 10 or 20 watts bulb, and leave it on for some time. In a few hours, your figurines or any of your toppers, they will dry completely. This is even in very humid conditions. So these are few little tips and tricks which you can use to create lovely toppers for your cakes and not fret about the weather all the time. Um, so you can leave, if it is taking longer, then you can leave it overnight, or it can be probably dry up in a few hours time. So that is how you manage your modeling paste. Of course, ready-made modeling pastes are available, different brands are available. You can use those as well. And those also work in a similar manner. Right. Now, what else? Let's just try to create probably a small uh, demo, maybe of a zebra. Since we have white modeling paste, let's try zebra. And I'm just putting it down so that you can see the table. So I hope it's clear. You can see clearly. Now, if you see, these are the two modeling pastes that I created right now. And the one with the Tylos is pretty firm. If I create a cone like this, it is able to hold its shape. The proportion of fondant, I mean, see, there is no particular proportion. It's basically, say, a lemon sized. This is the size that I used, a lemon sized ball of fondant. You can use with half a teaspoon of Tylos, and there is no particular uh, specific quantity, because you won't go wrong with this. It's just that if you feel you have added too much of Tylos, you can always add a little more fondant and make it softer. If the Tylos is not enough, then maybe you can add a little more Tylos. So you can always adjust according to your requirement. So this is just a general guideline as to how much of Tylos is needed to create your modeling paste. So this modeling paste with Tylos is much firmer. It has absorbed the moisture in it, and it's able to retain its shape very well. The one in which I have used gum paste, even though it is soft right now, but once it dries, this also becomes equally uh, firm, and it will retain its shape. So let's create some fun animal. So I'll just show you how to create a zebra. So whenever you feel your modeling paste is getting a little sticky, you can just take a little bit of shortening in your hand, just put it on both your hands and knead it, and it will be perfectly fine. All right. Now we'll just do a tiny animal now. After this, I will also show you how to make a cute face. So stay tuned for that. Now we start off with the body. So we take this little teardrop shape. Okay. And to this we add a couple of forelegs. So we take two equal sized balls like this. And make two sausage shaped rolls like this. Make sure they are of the same size and cut them off at equal length. Okay, so there we have our front legs, and now we are taking one sausage like this, and I'm going to cut it in the middle diagonally like this. Now what it does is give us this slanted sides, which we can then attach to the side of the body. Now zebra head is kind of so now we take a small ball like this for the head. Now what I do is in the center, I roll it like this so that one side remains flat and the other side is slightly raised. I hope you can see this. This raised part is just to put the eyes so that okay, so it comes like this. So we take a little skewer or a toothpick in this case, since this is just a small animal. So we put it into the body like this, and then we can attach the head. Now I've taken black modeling paste here. Now this was a pre-colored that I have added Tylos already, and it's pretty firm. So I'm going to add, I'm going to make this into a small flat disc like this. thin it out with your fingers. And add to the front of the snout. And for the eyes, make two tiny holes and take a bit of the black modeling paste and take two equal sized tiny balls, which we will use as eyes. Now for the ears, again two equal sized balls. Like this. And roll them into teardrop shape. Take smaller balls with the black. Then just place this black in the center like this. I hope you can see. In the center of the white sausage and just gently press it. Again, take the other black ball, place it in the center, and we're going to attach this to the head. Now you can add a bit of water, or you can add edible glue, which is just a mixture of tylose and a little warm water. It gives you the edible glue. Again, the proportion of tylose to warm water is half a teaspoon of tylose mixed with 2 ounces of water. Just warm water is sufficient. Right now I'm just directly using water. So I will just turn it in a moment. I'm just trying to place it properly. So on the side of the head, you place it like this. Now what I'm going to do is give 2 holes in the center like this. You can add a smiley at the bottom, though since it is black, it may not be that visible. So the head is done, the body is done. Now what else does a zebra have? Black stripes. That's right. So we're just going to roll out a piece of black fondant modeling paste And I'm going to roll it real thin. Now I'm going to cut like long triangles, if you can see. So I'm going to cut all through like this. Some small, some long. So we have a few. Now at the back, I'm going to just put a little bit of water on the coat or on the back and attach these strips randomly like this. Cut off whatever is in excess. So basically what we are trying to do is start from the side and kind of have a zigzag pattern at the back. I hope you can see it properly. So again, on this side, cut the excess. You can also paint instead of adding these strips. You can use paint to paint the stripes. Probably that would be much faster. But using these strips creates a more realistic look. So for painting, you can use gel color or paste color, and it comes out quite well as well. So we're almost there. Okay, so we have our back ready, right? So we do that for the front limbs as well as the side limbs. And for the tail, what you can do is take a longish strip like this. So you just roll it like a sausage. So take one of these strips, start from one side and roll it around like a spiral like this. So you have a black and white tail as well. And you can add a few bushy bits at the end. Just add some water. Add it to the base of the body like this at the back. And you have the tail. Let's quickly add a few pieces to the front as well, so that we can complete our zebra. A few strips on the hind legs, and we should be done shortly. And these kind of animals are most sought after by little kids. They just love these animals. And creating modeling paste like this is perfectly safe for the younger ones to consume. They love to eat these animals. And they don't taste bad at all. This tastes like sugar. We can add two small discs of black at the base of the feet like this. And there you go. You have Mr. Zebra ready to go on top of a cake. What about the hair on top? We can add that too. So we take a small triangular piece like this. I hope you can all see. So I've taken a strip like this, cut it, cut little fringe type of cuts I have made here. Just stick it on top of the head like this. You can add some more strips to the side of the face as well. The stripes are everywhere, so we can add a few strips going across the face like this. Oops. Okay, somebody had, could you please repeat that question? I couldn't read it.
There are a couple of questions, Radha, so I'll start one by one.
Yeah.
And by the way, that little zebra, that little fella is so cute. My son has been wanting to eat it. Okay. So we are going to give it a go, by the way. So the first question is, how do we know that Tylos is enough?
When you're kneading, you will your hands will come across a certain kind of firmness to the paste, and so that kind of you will get to know that this is enough, or I've gone too far. So if you've gone too far, or if you have added too much of Tylos, then basically you can add back a little bit of fondant, so it becomes dry and brittle. Then you know that you've gone too far. Otherwise, it should still be stretchy, it should still be pliable, but it should also be, it should also have that firmness to it. So you know that it's going to, if I make a, say, a cylinder or a sausage and make it stand up, then you know that it's going to work well.
Okay. And what is the, okay, the other question is, can we add corn flour instead of Tylos?
Corn flour does not work in the same way as Tylos. Tylos is more to reduce the elasticity of the fondant, whereas corn flour is just going to make it dry. So that will not work in the same way.
Okay. And what is the proportion of fondant to half tablespoon Tylos?
So as I said, approximately 100 grams, I would say, size of a lemon, 50 to 100 grams. It also depends on the weather. You might need a little more Tylos. A little more Tylos you might need if the weather is humid, and a little less if the weather is dry. So you need to, I'm not giving exact measurements because I want you all to understand the fondant better, and try out a few different variations of the ratios and see what best suits your local weather.
Right. So is there any particular brand you can suggest for ready paste?
For the ready paste,
Yeah.
there are quite a few. I use personally. I use for the faces or human figurines. I use mostly Saracino. That works best for me. Um, but you know, it all depends on your local weather. If any particular brand is going to work better at your place, then it's always better to try out a few and see. Personally, definitely Saracino works for me for human figurines. When I'm trying to make more realistic figurines,
Yeah.
Saracino works best for me.
Okay. And does the paint stay or smudge when kept in fridge if we use edible paint?
Edible paint.
Yeah, edible paint. Do they smudge when kept in fridge?
Uh,
I think that's what they're trying to ask.
See, first of all, you don't want to keep fondant or any um, modeling paste or any of these sugar pastes. You don't want to put them in the fridge. But if suppose you're going to, put up all your toppers onto your, if it's a cream cake and you need to refrigerate it, I would suggest put them on after you remove from the fridge and you're about to deliver. That would be the right time to put on all the toppers. The
Okay.
paint, yes, definitely when there is condensation, then it will tend to smudge. So if you're going to put or remove once it has been sitting in the fridge for a while, then it will smudge, of course.
Right. Now the next question is which company's gel colors are preferable to use the color for modeling paste?
All companies are perfectly fine. There is no particular one which is great or something like that. All the gel colors, all the paste colors, they all work wonderfully with the uh, modeling paste.
Then the other one is, I mean, this is a question from Facebook.
Mhm.
Can you please explain coloring method of modeling paste? And which,
So we had already covered that. So when you want to color a white modeling paste, when you're adding tylos, use the color either before you add tylos, you color it, you leave it for some time, and then you add the tylos, or you add tylos, leave it for some time, and then add the color. Because doing both together will result in spotting in your modeling paste.
okay, another question again from Facebook. So from Richa, for any figurines,
Hmm.
should we use gum paste only, or are there any other alternatives?
Yeah, the two alternatives that we spoke about today, one is CMC or Tylos. Tylos is the brand. CMC is the chemical name, and that is one. And the other one is adding equal quantities of fondant and gum paste. I hope I understood the question right.
No, I think, can you just only make figures using gum paste only?
Only gum paste, is it?
No, no, I think they're asking you whether, apart from gum paste, can you use something else?
See, in Indian weather, I mean, you can use modeling chocolate for making figurines or any of the toppers. The only issue is in Indian weather, especially in summers, I think best to avoid modeling chocolate because it's not very stable. It's going to keep melting in your hand. But you can do modeling chocolate as well. Suppose you have lesser um, uh, heat at your place, you're in a comparatively cooler place, then you can use modeling chocolate as well.
Right. Again, another question from Facebook is which tools did you use during the demo?
Right. So I wanted to get to the tools part of it. Um, well, you don't need very sophisticated tools or very expensive tools to make any of these figurines. Uh, I'll just quickly run through the tools that I used right now. And all I used are these. And that's it. So this, of course, is a rolling pin. Any rolling pin is fine. You don't need a tiny one like this. A regular 8-inch rolling pin or a 6-inch one. Any of these would work perfectly fine. Apart from that, to apply water or edible glue, you just need a small brush. Now, tools, all that I used were these two. Now, this one is a Dresden tool. This one is from Gem Company, but you also have other companies which make. Give me that. The whole box. Yeah, you do have Ultimates has the complete set of modeling tools. You can try those. I do love their tools as well. So this is the plastic one. They also have a steel. I'm just trying to locate my tools right now. But yeah, you can use any of these tools. They are fine. Ultimax has both metal as well as plastic. You have gem tool, and then you have Cerat as well. Cerat also has metal ones like this. So you have different options, but just one Dresden tool is more than sufficient to do 90% of your work. And of course, you need an X-Acto knife or a very sharp knife to do the finer cutting and stuff like that. Apart from this, there isn't much that you require to do any of your modeling.
Right. Okay, the next question is how do I get such white colored homemade fondant? My homemade one has a pale color.
Okay, so fondant, well, since you're using glucose and or corn syrup, liquid glucose or corn syrup, and you're also using glycerine and stuff like that, a little bit of shortening. So all these, when you're mixing, there is a kind of yellowing that happens, a slight creamish color that you get in homemade fondant. Now, the best way is either to get titanium white powder, which you can use into, while you're mixing your fondant itself, or you can use a white gel color. You might need a sufficient quantity. Mix it into the homemade fondant and it will be white. So titanium white you need either in the form of a powder or as a white gel color. Both are fine. Paste is also fine.
Okay, thanks, Radha. The next one is can't these figurines be made only with fondant? I think we covered.
You can of course with fondant as well. You can do it, but the only issue with using fondant is that they are not always very stable. So if I'm making, say, a standing figure, it is not going to give, just fondant is not going to give me enough support to make it stand. Then I need to add something to it to make it a little more firm, so that it can be standing upright.
And what is the difference?
Yeah, just so if so it all depends on the weather. So if it is say winter months and you have absolutely no heat, even with your basic fondant also you can do all your toppers, absolutely no issues at all. As you go, the weather grows warmer, then you definitely need to add something to give it a little bit of support to make it firm.
Okay. There are a few more questions, rather. I mean, a lot of questions actually flowing in. Did you have to show anything else, or I can take more
I
questions?
wanted to show a face. A lot of people have difficulty in making a face. They're able to make the body, the hands, the legs. They have difficulty in making a face. So I thought it would be nice, just to give a little demo on making just a simple face. It
Yeah.
will take about 5-10 minutes, and then we can take on more questions after
More
that if there
questions.
is
Okay.
time.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Sadachi, so faces, you can make, you know, different ways. Uh, you have these with expressions here. What we are going to do, I mean, these are more realistic, detailed faces. But today we'll just do a simple face with a smile, because with all this corona stress happening, I think we need more smiles around, don't you think?
Definitely. It's quite gloomy out here in London, at
It
least,
is.
with all of us locked in, and I'm sure it's the same there back home.
Yes. So, yeah, it's actually, staying at home and not interacting with people, I think, is the most stressful thing for everybody right now, because you're just, you feel more claustrophobic sitting at home. I think this is a wonderful initiative by home bakers, by the way, guys. I think all of us should be really thankful to them for coming up with this idea of Facebook Hangout, uh, live Hangout. I think it's a wonderful initiative.
I am smiling, Radha. Thank you so much.
All right, so I'm going to use Saracino modeling paste right now to make the face, but you can make it with regular modeling paste as well. No issues at all. I don't have um, the skin colored homemade modeling paste. So I'm just quickly grabbing the box that I have of Saracino. So this is how it looks. And this is good for doing the figurines, especially human figurines. It works wonderfully well for me, at least personally. So I'm just starting off with an egg-shaped ball here. And I'm slightly flattening out the front part. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take 1/3 from top. I'm going to measure it, not with the inch or something, but eyeball it. 1/3 from the top. I'm just going to use my Dresden tool and create this kind of indentation. And then I'm smoothing out the top. Next, I'm just going to take a ball tool. Now, this is a innovative Sugarworks sugar shaper, but you can take your regular ball tool as well. Anything will work just as fine. I'm creating eye sockets here, like this. And then 2 lines down the front in the center on either side of the nose, where the nose is supposed to be.
Rather, there's a lot of light reflection on where you've placed it.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's too bright. Yeah.
Okay, let me just try to switch off the tube light and see if it helps. Is that fine now?
Oh yeah, yeah. That is better. In fact, very good.
Awesome, awesome. Okay, so I have taken 2 straight lines. I've flattened out the cheek. Okay, the cheek part on either side of the nose. and I'm trying to, make the central line more like a nose. And then I'm going to cut. So the next 1/3, I'm going to just stop the nose there. Okay, is that clear? So now with the ball tool, just giving a little bit of shape to the bridge of the nose. You know which part is the bridge of the nose? Video clarity is low. Are you all able to see clearly what I'm doing, or is there
Yeah, I
still
think we
some
are able to
issues?
see clearly. Guys who are listening and viewing it, can you please type in yes if you can see? Or do you think you need light? Because we did have few people mentioning it was too bright. Yeah, I think it's fine, Radha. You can carry on.
All right. So I've just made the bridge of the nose a little more pronounced. That is the place just below the where the eyebrows are. The nose connecting the two eyebrows. So that is the place. I'm making it a little more pronounced. Now for the mouth, I'm just I pushed in two small holes just below the nose. Just make sure they're all in the same line. And I'm going to take the knife and cut in between these two. Just a shallow cut, nothing deep. Now the upper part, for the upper lip, I'm just pushing that space up. I think I'll bring it a little closer. And the lower part as well, I'm just going to push it up. Like this. Now here is where everybody has issues, is that their mouths always look as if they're pouting. Now one way to avoid that is to push the corners of the mouth in with a small ball tool and then push it to the side so the face has a smile as well as it doesn't look as if it's pouting. Right? So do keep popping questions as and when you find anything that you need clarity on, and I will answer once I'm through with the demo. So I'm just giving a little definition to the lower part of the face, that is the chin and the jaw bones. That is where you need to give a little definition. I'm pushing back any excess that is there and making it a little more sharper than earlier, because earlier it was just a round lump over there, and we are trying to give it a little more definition. Nostrils, and then tuck in the edges of the nostrils, give it a little more definition. Okay, now for the eyes. Now we have created this socket for the eyes, right? Now I'm just going to create the eyes. So all I'm doing is I'm drawing a line with the Dresden tool, the sharp side of the Dresden tool. That's all I'm doing. So you start off at the same, so it should be equal distance on both sides. You start off at the same place, end at the same place on either side of the nose. So one side, if you're able to do, then the second side you can actually put it upside down so that you get symmetrical eyes. And then the sides of the nose as well, you can give a little more definition, make it sharper. All right, now all that I need to do is fill these eyes with a little bit of white fondant. So make sure you take equal quantities on either side. If you take too much on one side and less on the other side, then you might have one eye bulging and one eye sunken. We don't want that, so we just take about the same size and fill the eyes like this. So basically you're spreading a very thin quantity of the white modeling paste or fondant into the socket, and then the eyes you can either paint it with a brush and gel paint, or you can attach a piece of black fondant or blue or brown, whichever color eyes you want. You can attach a piece of that colored fondant into the eye to color it. So let's just do, we have black here ready, so we'll just do black. Now always remember the eyes are more like a semicircle rather than a complete circle. Most of the faces that I see, that is the mistake that I notice, is that it is not a complete circle. We don't want a complete circle inside the eye. If you look at yourself in the mirror, at your eyes, you will find that the eyes are not completely, the black part of it is not completely visible. Some part of it is covered by the eyelid. So you need to remember that and do more like a semicircle rather than a complete circle. So the upper eyelid kind of uh, covers the retina, and you have this maybe more like a 3/4 circle. Yeah. Okay, so this is how it has come up so far. And I'm just going to put some eyelids and eyebrows. We're not going to paint today. I'm just going to use the same black fondant that I have right here. So just a thin strip of black and put it right across the upper eyelid. Okay, we have the eyes ready. Now we'll just go in and put the eyebrows, and our face will be almost ready because we are going to add hair as well. The eyebrows, make sure you have equal sized pieces, and of course do add a bit of water or glue to make it stick. Right now, since it is just a demo, I'm not using any of those, but please go ahead and add some glue. Okay, so we have the eyebrows ready. Now for some hair. Now to create hair, what I normally do is cover the entire skull with a cap first. And then we can do any number of hairstyles to it. We can add extensions, um, attach any amount of so starting from the forehead, and it goes up to the back, and it just covers the skull. So if there are any places where you miss out while adding hair strands, then you can always it gets covered, it doesn't show. Or we can leave it like this as well. Maybe give a parting like this, add some texture with the Dresden tool. Add a few strands on the side. So make a sausage like this, and create some texture on the piece of sausage, and you can attach it anywhere you want. Of course, you can go into detail and create curls or individual hair strands. If you have more time, then you can create all the uh, tiny detailing on the hair. Or you can go for a quick fix like this. And there you have a face. So simply go step by step. Don't let it overwhelm you. I know faces are very stressful for you guys. Most of you at least. Faces are, you just have to practice it a few times, and it's not so difficult. End of the day, you will be able to create beautiful faces, and it gets easier as you keep practicing your fourth phase or your fifth phase or your 10th or 50th phase. You will see the progress yourself. So the key is to keep practicing, and not just putting it aside saying, oh, it's too stressful, I can't do it. Now I can take some questions. Yes.
Thanks, Radha. I mean, the feedback is, while you were doing that was like simply wow, 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 a couple of times and lots of times. Yeah. So let me start with the questions. Just a second.
Yes.
Sorry, I'm just like scrolling up. 1 second.
Okay.
How does modeling chocolate and modeling paste differ? If we want to create modeling chocolate, how can we do that?
So
Yeah.
modeling chocolate, as I said, there are very easy recipes everywhere. It's just like creating ganache. So just go through a few videos. You will be able to get modeling chocolate. But when you're creating the smaller pieces like this, it's a little difficult to handle. One is you need to wear gloves to create anything out of modeling chocolate. It's a bit more challenging than using a modeling paste, but you can do it. Maybe work in AC, that might help.
Okay, and the next question is related to Tylos. Will adding Tylos help to place the figurines on a whipped cream cake without melting? I mean, Tylos added to the fondant.
Yes, basically that is the purpose of Tylos, creating modeling paste with Tylos and fondant, is that your figurine stays firm and stable on your cakes. So that is the whole purpose.
Yeah, just 1 second.
I think somebody wants to know how to differentiate between male and female figurines.
Yeah. uh, yeah, how do you differentiate between male and female figurine? Any points you need to remember while creating male and female figurines?
So